All right, we are live. When B. Okay, so we got some Hivemapper fans on here. Fantastic. What's going on, Joey? It's been a couple weeks.
It has. It feels like it's been a month. Um,
It,
I did swing by the Hivemapper office the other day, and it looks like a full-on like warehouse. There's just label printers going in the background. People are taping and stuff.
it's just like ship a
There was a good
palooza.
energy in there. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're getting after it. Good, good for them.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I can put this up here. That way I can see what's shaking. Okay, top of the hops here. Today's April 2nd, day after April 1st. The big thing I noted looking around the deep in space and news was that projects are shipping. There is one big project that's shipping some awesome shit, and that's all I can fucking say about that. But we'll start with Onocoy. They're doing their BONO to DC swap, and reward splitting is now enabled. So if you're running an Onocoy miner on someone else's property and you want to split it with them, it's pretty easy. You can also swap over their BONO, which is their like pre-token to it, and I'm sure that's not the right way to say that, but yeah, that's what they're doing. Anyone has been crushing their iOS browser beta is live. They just did an update to the Carbon browser. And then there's a review by this CoachHelder fella of the Anyone Relay. Looks super, super good to me. In Helium world, let's see. The big thing is they enabled Wi-Fi gear that supports Passport. I thought was what it was.
Point. Pass point.
Passport. Yeah, maybe I wrote that down wrong. Or I copied it and someone else wrote it down wrong. Passpoint 2.0. I thought that was pretty rad. I know that Flywheel Systems, who does all the graphics for this show, just configured one of his Ubiquiti setups for this and got a highlight over on X. And Helium also did a wallet app update. I'm still having problems with my builder. No, with one of my apps, but I think it's because I just screwed something up with my settings. So yeah, that's just me. Let's see. That's all I'm going to say about Helium. We'll come back to it. In Hivemapper land, they just did a DePIN and Web2 Collide X Space, I think a day or 2 days ago. I think this is super cool to see these guys do this. I know a bunch of you on here are wondering where your bees are. I don't know where your bees are, so it doesn't help to ask me a ton. I could talk to Ariel, but I don't think it's a good use of that connect to be like, hey, where's 619 OTSB? Because he's asking me on State of the Networks. I would say they're shipping. Joey, you said you're just at their office. Looks like a warehouse. I think that's good enough for me.
Mhm.
Dabbaland, let's see. I saw some cool stuff about them doing some pieces on how this is so important for India and how they're rolling this out, and it takes some of the capex expense off where it's kind of the biggest choke point. And then they also have this thing. They just did a Solana Deepin Summit in Bengaluru. Had 600 people show up. That's pretty darn good. Let's see. Drive, I think, is also in Bengaluru, and I haven't heard anything from them for a while. But maybe they're crushing, and I just have missed it. DIMO shipped this car color update, not update. Update's pretty cool though. I thought this is like, hey, this is the little things that matter. Is that companies keep on shipping. Let's see what else. In Wingbits land, they publish this averages per station. So 98 daily wings is what an average station makes. I should look at mine and see if I can brag or if I should cower in shame. Each station covers 22 hexes, and I think they're the big Res 5 hexes. Maybe they're Res 4s, but they're big, and they collect 2.5 million data points. And then this illiuminaticongo nicknamed their satellite Wingo Star, and they're going with that. So that was pretty cool. Let's see, where's Spexi? They're up next. They have this world viewer, so they've just enhanced their world viewer with search. They got bookmarks in there, time series comparison, so you can see what's going on over time. And then they've got new cities. I think all 4 of these cities are at least 85% mapped, and 2 of them are 95, but I forget which 2. Philadelphia, Honolulu, Oklahoma City, and Los Angeles. Pretty impressive to be mapping Los Angeles. I know there's a ton of congested airspace up there, so well done to them. And then WeatherXM had this really cool thing on X where they lit up. It's not the entirety of South Africa, but it reminded me of the old Helium hotspot days where you just looked at a country kind of one day and there's nothing there, and the next day it's like, holy shit, there's a ton. Yeah, so that's the deep in news, and I think that's done in what? I gotta look under 5 minutes. Hell yeah. And then the last thing that I've got to talk about is this little old project called Medio Scientific. I'm very pumped on this. There is a link to the soft launch of the show. So the trailer episode is out. You can see this at metsci.show. Link is down in the description. It's just the first 7 minutes is out there. And basically, when you launch podcasts, not that I've launched a ton of them, but a couple of them, you want to put these trailers out there and just let it sit for a couple of days and make sure that Spotify and iTunes and all the rest of it pick it up before you launch the rest of them. There'll be 4 or 5 episodes launching, I think, this week. And then we'll get on a once-a-week cadence, and we'll also do the video that is a part of the grant as well as the article. But that's what's going on MetSci. Super, super cool stuff. Check out metsci.show. And then the last thing I've got, Kevin Flywheel Systems is pushing the, what is it, Make Something Everyday shirts. I don't have mine on. I got my Medio Scientific shirt on today. So I'm rolling with that. Joey, I know you usually have your Make Something Everyday shirt around. Oh, you got the sign. You're the OG.
Yep.
But he's deploying Helium and DePIN devices while simultaneously raising awareness about Web3 and DePIN. You can support Flywheel Systems' effort by picking up a Make Something Everyday shirt at the Amazon affiliate link below. So I might get, I don't know, 4 cents if you hit that fucking link. But what you should do is go check out Flywheel Systems and support what they're doing. And that's my news, Joey. That's what's going on. What do you got going on, dog?
I got a sneeze that's just like right there.
Okay. Well, you
Yeah.
take your time,
Nope, we're
deep
good.
breaths.
Yeah. It's allergy season. It's been the craziest weather. I don't know if you're getting this Southern California, but on and off.
Yeah,
Rain's
it's been. I mean,
sunshine.
we've had a little bit of rain lately.
Yeah. Um, no, I think you uh without saying anything more, it is shipping season. So um a lot of stuff going on.
Don't you fucking
Um
trap me into saying something I'm not supposed to say, Joey.
I you
It,
you are not supposed to, so yeah, I made the mistake of sharing a link, so
hey,
don't go bugging him about it because
no,
you're gonna spoil it for everyone
no
else.
further.
So,
It is, yeah.
um,
So it's been a
yeah,
couple. It's been a couple weeks. Jay, good to see you. I'm just going through the comments. Keenan, good to see you. 619. We talked about your B a little bit. Let's see. 1 week till IoT assertion costs $1 and onboarding costs $10. I guess that's
yep,
good.
yeah.
I'm
So
actually thinking about deploying something, but what do you got?
yeah, that was actually on my notes, at top of my notes in big
Okay.
ol' Sharpie. The IoT working group has been crushing,
On fire,
um,
yeah.
which has been really encouraging. Uh, Yeah, I mean, notably, we're working a lot. We're getting a better feel for how to manage this grants process, how to work with Foundation on that grants process, the sort of guidelines and milestones. You've been through all of this, but Sam, who's managing that process on the Foundation side, has been really awesome about trying to like be really transparent and clear. Like, this is what I need to make this thing successful.
Yep.
Um, and so the working group has done a really good job of evaluating, like, is this going to be impact for the network? Is it the thing we need? And all the other stuff, and working with these grantees to try and shape these projects versus just say like, no, get out of here.
Beat it,
And
Roach.
and it's yeah, which is like it's a tough process to like sort of get that feedback, sort of constantly. And the folks that are sort of early in this process are probably getting the rougher end of that than the ones that are later in the process will, because we'll have a better structure for that. But um, all of the feedback from the group has been really good. People are like, we got to be really quick on the feedback to the grantees so that they know what's going on. So we're building a better process around that. Um, but along that, we've been seeing opportunities to sort of make updates on protocol side. And so the one that 619 pointed out is we we were seeing it cost $50 to onboard a hotspot, for $100 hotspot, which is it's kind of crazy, right? Um, and so the working group, we put our heads together. Neil brought this up and said like, hey, let's figure something out. And by the end of the call, we had come to a unanimous consensus of bringing this to a $10 onboard and a $1 location assert or reassert. So that's a 1/5 roughly of what it was before. Um,
It's pretty good.
and we were able to move that through really quickly with this new HRP process. Basically, on the call, I was messaging the protocol engineers and saying like, is this feasible? Um, just little notes and back and forth, and we had it all figured out. By the end of the day, it was in the HRP. So that'll
Right.
go out in April. Um, and thanks to Waveform, all of the docs are already staged and ready to update. There's comms going out to all of the manufacturers who need to know about this. Waveform already had an in-person discussion with Seed Studio, so yeah, the whole mechanism of working groups has been really exciting to see evolve.
Yeah, yeah, it's been rad to listen in. So let's see. We got some upset folks about this Hivemapper. I'm not going to read the comments. You can read that. I think the response there is that look, deepins are deepin. There's no guarantee. Fucking
I
A.
mean, it's across them. I just saw a post that was like GeoNet got rugged by one of their distributors.
Hmm.
That so everyone was doing these pre-orders through this. I forget the name of it, but
Okay.
EasyNav.xyz, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
taking all these pre-order money and then never actually placed the order with the manufacturer and then just rugged. And so then the manufacturer is like, go charge back right now. Like we never heard about this.
Jesus.
And then GeoNet stuck because like they trusted this entity. Um, and it's not a knock on GeoNet, just as like this isn't a knock on Hivemapper. Like they have a whole supply chain to work through. This
Yeah.
stuff's hard, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
these people are trying to build a crypto project, not like you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
uh, full factories in China. So you got to work with the tools you got.
It's a big deal. Yeah. 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 It's a big deal. It's a hard thing. Let's
Yeah.
see. Simian Wi-Fi. I think we're talking about. Ooh, I gotta find it here. Wingbits. You're making
Yes.
98 wings is low. I'm making 7 times that. That's pretty good. 7 times 98 is close to 700. So that seems whatever Wingbits are worth are going to be worth. That seems pretty good. I'll have to look at what I'm making on mine. I haven't looked recently. Every time I looked, I was very pleased with it, and then I was like, well, there's nothing I can do any better. So I'm just gonna leave it alone.
I still haven't gotten a Wingbits. I've always loved that project because I love the ADSB thing. And I've got that hardware. I should
It's
have been
cool.
in
Yeah.
there day one, but it just yeah, too many things to follow.
Yeah. 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 No, there's a ton of
And we got some
ton.
like double overlay of the, the whatever the background thing going on.
Oh, is there? Did I screw something up? Yeah, I did.
Uh,
Good God, I was trying to make this fancy and easy for me, but I didn't. I just screwed everything up. There we go. I think I can do this, and that'll be better.
Hey,
Maybe.
there you go.
Yeah. I
Sad,
gotta
I'm out of
lock
coffee.
these things. Oh, bees are coming to Ibiza. That's what you think, Bo,
Please,
right?
please, please are
Don't
going to Ibiza.
don't tell don't tell 619 that. They'll be very displeased if the bees to get to Ibiza before they get to San Diego. Let's see. Don't need deployers. We need sensors. What was Siegfried saying? How are those millions of devices deployers coming? I saw this. I'll tell you this, dude. I was listening to this morning. Jesus, sorry, Joe, to cover your face up. We got too many things going on here at once. There we go. I was listening to a LoRaWAN presentation this morning. Their Zoom presentations are not super enthralling, and there's a lot of meat on those bones. It's pretty dense, but those guys talk in terms of millions of devices all the time. Like that's the LoRaWAN typical deployment. And the MetSci show interviews I've been doing, I did one with Dean Marsh that'll release pretty soon. He was one of the first folks using LoRaWAN in the UK, and they routinely are sending out thousands and thousands, maybe not routinely millions, but they'll do like a 6,000 device deployment. Like, yeah, that's what we do, and that was super cool to see. So
Mhm.
I don't know if you got anything on top of that.
Yeah, well, Siegfried's referring to something that I mentioned, I think on the IT working group, maybe on this call, I can't remember.
Okay.
Um, but I'm constantly having conversations with organizations that are interested in leveraging Helium. These things, it takes a long time to build devices. It also takes a long time to just work through a BD cycle. So that one's still ongoing. Uh, they are still very bullish on it. I'm going to be meeting in person with them when I'm in Barcelona in May for the LoRa Alliance board meeting. Um,
That's right. You're a fancy
they
LoRa
are,
Alliance board member.
yeah, many hats. They have a couple of test devices, and it's actually been really encouraging to see them sort of trying that out in different venues, sort of bouncing around, seeing what the coverage is like, how they can leverage it. So basically set them up with two gateways, two mappers, two trackers, basically, yeah, um, and a couple of nano tags just for basically playing around with. The guy was excited to put those in his greenhouse. Um, so they're wrapping their head around it. It's part of the process, and then we'll sort of do like soft follow-ups into harder follow-ups and make sure that those folks are bringing those things over and that we're like solving a problem for them. I'm not really interested in pushing something on somebody that they're going to churn in 3 months because we've got better things to focus on than uh, I think that kind of a sales
Then a 3 month
pipeline.
churn. You don't want 3 month churn? That's so weird.
Yeah,
Let's see. Fuck, the chat's lively today.
it really is. I'm having trouble keeping up.
MC 1979 is it's like you're a class one troll, but you're being polite so far. So I appreciate that. Giving Neil a hard time, asking him how many trackers he's selling, but looks like Neil, you're selling a bunch. And orders for 500 plus trackers. Maybe I should get in the tracker biz.
Yeah, awesome.
That's
Neil,
awesome.
are these the Neil was building some like net new hardware. So I wonder if this is we got to get him back on the show. He used to
Yeah,
pop up here.
he was a
Um,
regular. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. What
Um,
else did I? Oh, I missed
yeah.
this EasyNav thing. So EasyNav, I didn't know that EasyNav filed for bankruptcy. I forget who's behind EasyNav. This is a GeoNet thing that I haven't been able to pay attention to because they blocked me from their X, so I just stopped following them. Um, but yeah,
It'd be amazing if it was one of the like IoT manufacturers or something. There would be like the real troll behind the scenes if it was all one entity. Yeah,
if only they had consultants to help them steer to the right people instead of the wrong people.
sure.
Fuck it. Good, good. I hope GeoNet does super well. Let's see. So Neil's selling 500 of these trackers at a time. That's fantastic. Suburban Crypto saying lots and lots to close huge sensor deals. Yeah, I think that's right. I'm getting like buried in the chat here. You guys are crushing shit.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and reminder, it's like Suburban works with Lone Star tracking. So,
Ah,
when he says they're closing sensor deals, that's big deployments in the US leveraging the IoT network.
got it. Oh, and
Yeah.
then this is 619. The whole issue with Hivemapper is that they sold saying that the first order first to get, and now they're totally ignoring that and shipping in whatever order they want. I bet they're not shipping in whatever order they want, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they have customers who are paying and they need to get coverage in certain areas. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they're fucking everything up. I have a hard time believing that they're going to fuck everything up, having talked to Ariel and having a pretty good relationship with him. Yeah, I would expect them to do a generally excellent job and just not satisfy everybody because that's impossible. And their comms
Yeah.
suck. Yeah, they should hire a comms guy. I would have
Maybe
had
Nick.
time. I would have had time a while ago, but I got
I
this
know.
podcast now.
I noticed when the podcast started, I was hearing from you a lot less, which was
Oh,
a good
dude,
sign. Like,
I've been
yeah,
fucking heads down on this thing. This is
I love it.
the MetSci show site took so fucking long to do, and it's the version you're looking at is V4, so it's been nuked and rebuilt 4 times, which is probably fine.
Looking good.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh man, this chat, I'm just struggling with it
Let's see.
today.
Is pet tracker ready? Windsor's chicken tracker. God, you guys are you guys are on fire.
Yeah,
Uh, all right. What is getting sold to Keenan?
Keenan's always on board.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
Keenan's good for stuff. Keenan's doing hacks. I wanted to see fucking Travis do hacks. I love Keenan. I love Helium and it's fucking rad, but I want to see Travis do hacks. I think that's bullshit. He's not doing it. You
yeah.
can have no comment on that if you want, Joey, but that's my outsider comment.
We harassed him about it for a while.
Yeah, I didn't know, but
So we're gonna try this thing out. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure Keenan's gonna crush it because he crushes those community calls.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, but it's still a the Teague thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Keenan, I love your work. You do rad work. I want to see Travis on hacks, and maybe we just shove Travis into it. Although I will say, I talked to Travis a bunch and said, dude, you should start your own thing. You should start your own thing, and he's got other shit going on. So I feel like
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah. I mean, last time I think he was on a call. His 3D printer was cranking away in the background. Like
Yeah,
he's cooking something.
he's a fucking crusher.
Yeah.
Never count out Travis. Yeah, I think a lot of us have the same story. Made my first IoT sensor with Travis's help.
Yeah.
So,
I
but I
include
think the other
myself in
thing
that
is
category.
Trav could also do a YouTube piece and just run his own thing, and maybe it just doesn't get called Helium Hacks. It calls like
Yeah.
T hacks, ill peripherals hacks.
Yeah.
I would whatever he does, I'm supporting it. That's it.
Yep.
That's my bag. What else is going on? So, Joey, I don't think we talked since the indoor ag show, which I still have to put all my footage together from that.
Hmm.
There were two things I learned there that were super interesting. One was that, there's a bunch of stuff that came out. The biggest thing I sat down at a talk listening to is all about, I'll back up. I went to this indoor agricultural show. It's called Controlled Environment Agriculture, CEA, and it was originally developed by NASA to figure out how we would
Wait,
grow
sorry.
stuff.
Unpack that for me again. Controlled what?
Controlled Environment Agriculture.
Controlled environment agriculture. Okay.
I should have had. I'll put the MetSci thing up because that's what's going to cover it. Give me a second here. There we go. So CEA, Controlled Environment Agriculture, is this thing that was developed by NASA to figure out how we were going to grow basically like plants in space or on the moon or on Mars. And it started in like the 60s or 70s. From there, the research spread out to the regular world, and they figured, oh shit, if we can control environment, we can get rid of pests. Basically building a greenhouse. We're not going to allow any pests in. We'll make sure the soil is really good. There's a couple folks on here who are way into CEA and know a lot more about it than I do. But it was super cool to go out there and check it out. And so you think of like giant greenhouses, giant grow rooms, lots of pot growers, but also like strawberries in Canada. Fresh, plump, juicy, crisp strawberries in Canada. And that was one of the first things. I went to a talk that was focused on CEA or indoor ag in Canada. Canada imports 80% of their food, and they also export 80% of the food they grow. And of course, their main trading partner is the US. So all of the what are the tariffs that are going in affect them pretty strongly. And they were really kind of, they didn't know what was going on. God damn, there's a word on the tip of my tongue that starts with uncertain. They're uncertain of what was happening. That was interesting to see.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I bought a single bag of groceries yesterday for $90. So
that's a lot of, hopefully that's a lot of groceries.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Not
Yeah.
really.
So
Yeah.
I listened to this thing and they all talked. I think there's 4 people on the panel. There's like a big grower, a little grower, a long time grower, and someone else. And that was the big thing that hit me was the 80% in, 80% out. And then the other piece there was just that right now, if you grow in a greenhouse, anything except pot, the price is like, there's no comparison to what's called field price, which is the price you get when you grow something in a field outside. It's something like 6 or 7x cost. So the only way that indoor ag competes is on quality. So they'll say, hey, this was grown in this clean environment. There's no bugs on it. There's no pesticides. We don't need pesticides because we don't have bugs, like all the stuff that you can think of. And it was super cool to see. And then I walked the floor talking to the various LoRaWAN folks. There was Chuvio is there. Dragino is there. I talked to them. Tag.io, I think I've got the guy's card here. Digi was there. That was cool. The Siemens folks were there, but the guy they sent didn't know much about LoRaWAN. And then there was a company called Microclimate that I got an interview with. And then there's like 1 or 2 others that I talked to about using LoRaWAN. Because pretty obviously, as soon as you get to anything beyond a greenhouse that's 300 feet, which is Wi-Fi's distance, LoRaWAN becomes super important. And a lot of them were using it. So super cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think one of the interesting things, so like you do this in an entirely enclosed environment, so you can kind of choose when you burn your energy and stuff. So it can start to be um, a distributed energy resource, right? You turn the
Oh, it could
lights
be,
on
yeah.
when you need to burn energy, and yeah, so there's
Yeah.
some interesting angles there. Sort of pointing over to like Sourceful and thinking about the energy grid.
That's right. Sourceful just had a thing and shit. I didn't have them on my list, so I forgot. But I saw that they just talked about the what is like a rebalancing or rechanging of what they're doing. So they're splitting out Sourceful, the kind of company from sourceful to community and just making sure that it's nice and clear.
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yeah. No, they've been crushing. I think hired 2 new engineers.
Two new
They
devs. I saw
shipping all
pictures. It's
sorts of
real.
stuff. Like, yeah, yeah. Anyway, on the agriculture thing,
Yeah.
I first of all, it's exciting to hear that the LoRaWAN folks were in the audience, and people are out there sort of talking about the protocol, right? Like that's the first step. The whole basis behind the podcast is just get people eyes on LoRaWAN. Um, so that's I want to like shift topics so bad. Uh,
Cool. What do you want to talk about? We can
that's
talk about
solid.
LoRaWAN. We can talk about whatever we
Well,
want.
I mean, like, so on this, like, visibility of LoRaWAN, Jameson Buffmeyer, who does the buoy fish thing. I think we've
Yep.
talked about that a couple of times.
Yep.
He's been crushing. He's getting like all these folks on board. He's getting grants. He's building his business around. He's getting these things deployed. And so these are buoys that you go put out in the ocean, make sure that you're not leaving traps and lines that are killing whales and sea life and all that, because we want that as a resource. Um, anyway, he threw together a meetup in San Francisco at this place called Noise Bridge, which is just I had never been there before, but it is clearly one of those like staple old school San Francisco hacker spaces.
Okay.
Um, totally open to the public. You can just walk in. You don't need to like sign in at the door or anything like that. You literally walk in, grab something off a shelf and just start taking it apart or building something or using the, you know, CNC table or whatever.
Dang,
It
that's
is
pretty
like
cool.
just they call it a do-ocracy, as in you just go and do it,
Just do it. Yeah, yeah.
which
I
I
like it.
loved. Like it took a second for it to click for me.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, you've got this room full of sort of San Francisco techies who some of them are just like early retired, some of them are between jobs, some of them live in the neighborhood. So just the smartest people you can imagine, just in a room doing what is exciting to them. And so Jameson pulled this meetup together, and we talked about Helium. We talked about why Helium, why we're doing this sort of token incentivized thing.
Yep.
And then I brought a box of the Nano Things sticker trackers,
Oh, cool.
and so everyone onboarded one, and I
Badass.
left a bunch of them for people to take home and play with. Uh, everyone got their devices onboarded. People started playing with payloads. One guy's like, "How do I change the update interval?" And I was like, "Oh, here's how you do downlinks." People were getting that. Um, so just super rapid pickup, which was really exciting to see. But a bunch of these people had never heard of LoRaWAN before, and so it was this big thing. One of them was doing a balloon launch, and so we know, Star Watcher's thing of using LoRaWAN to control his balloon. So we scoped putting the sticker tracker on the balloon. Unfortunately, they were a little overweight, so they didn't ship it. But
Dang.
um, we'll get it in the next one. So very excuse me, very cool to sort of open up a very focused audience of this kind of stuff. So we need more of that. That
Yeah.
was, I think,
Yeah.
my big takeaway.
It's rad. It's rad stuff. Rad stuff, and it's super interesting to see yeah, as I dig in and kind of see what these people are doing, and then see what the competitors are. One thing with TTN, Rish Shahan is one of the folks who's on the first couple of podcasts, so that'll drop this week. He had talked about you have to have a problem to solve, and I think that's been one of the things that's been harder for the kind of hobbyist side, is that there's plenty of problems to solve that are like fun. There's
Right.
not as many for the homeowner and the hobbyist, which is I think who's been mostly involved in Helium at the beginning, is the kind of tinkers to solve that are like worth doing over time. But for much bigger customers, there's plenty of problems to solve. And I listened to this, Jesus, super dense presentation this morning on the LoRaWAN's thing about like DSLP and some chic thing. And it was like a way to send
Mhm.
less information, faster, better, something, something, something. They lost me. I was like, dude, you guys got to come on and re-explain this to me so I can understand it. But those guys were talking about millions of deployment. When I asked, like, what's the smallest size? No, what is the onboarding process to use whatever it was, DSLP or DLSP? And they're like, oh yeah, you're going
Uh,
to want an embedded IoT engineer and it'll take a couple months and then you'll be on. And it's like, Jesus Christ,
yeah.
one guy, a couple months. That's a lot.
I mean, that is certainly the way enterprise works, though. Like we're putting together the brownfield guides for the mobile network, and Ubiquiti was a walk in the park because it's consumer geared.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you start looking at Meraki, and it's like, oh, you buy a license, you need a license per access point, and then you need a license for support, and this stuff won't work unless you have a license for support.
yeah,
And it's like, what do you like? You sell me expensive hardware, and then you make it shitty, and then you make me buy support. And it's crazy.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Those are the big
that
things
is that world.
they kept talking about. This allows you to avoid vendor lock, and I was like, God, is it that big of a deal? But apparently, it is.
Hmm. Yeah. Um,
So
yeah.
let's
I
see.
mean,
Good.
I think it's a really big part of the challenge, though. Is like we see these protocols start leaning really heavy on enterprise, and then we lose the groundswell of people building. And it's one of the things that I think I'm constantly fighting that battle of. You just want it to be as easy as Wi-Fi, um, but with all of the benefits of LoRaWAN, right? And get people building stuff, get people thinking about how to deploy it. Because otherwise, you get to that enterprise level, and you know, it's literally this is the amount of people in the world that are going to know about it. A stack of business cards. Um, uh,
Is that the entirety of
so,
the business cards you've collected?
I mean, no, it's not. But like, this is
Yeah,
a good sample of I think two conferences from a while ago.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. There's
uh,
there's a bunch.
yeah.
Let's see. 619. How are nanotags not on all Amazon, UPS, FedEx packages over $100? 12 Kurtz. I mean, I think it's just a dollar thing. I wouldn't even say that's certainly not a technical implementation. It's just
Mhm.
those guys are running on thin margins and high volume. And if you add, let's say you get a tag down to $5, which seems like it'd be pretty cheap. I don't know what they're selling for. I don't know what Neil's selling for when he's selling 500, but I can't imagine it's much less than that. $5 a package, even on a $100 package, that's a 5% cut on the off the margin, and then it gets used once, and it's something that could be used for years. It's a little bit of a
Mhm.
waste.
Yeah, it's a numbers thing, it's an overhead thing, and then it's a integration. Like the cost of the thing isn't the challenge half the time. It's like, oh, we have to hire a team to integrate this thing. That's exactly what you're pointing to. It's like you get all these people, and then you can do it. Um,
Yeah, that was crazy when he's like, "Oh yeah,
it,
an embedded IoT engineer would take him a couple months, no problem." Like, dude, that's not going to work in my world.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's like, oh, maybe I'll play
um,
with this DSLP thing. I have to look at my notes from it so I don't get it wrong.
yeah. There's the SCHC,
Yeah, the Schick
but I
thing,
don't remember what the other one is you're talking. Yep,
and then
yeah,
DLMS. That's what, and it was Olivier from
DLMS.
Actility was presenting on it. So
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on that one. But,
yeah,
yeah.
I forget what it's. I don't know. They had a couple folks from the various aspects of DLMS, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, it's a nerd thing. I'll go check it out, and maybe I can implement it. And then when they said it'll take basically a professional a couple months, I was like, ah, nope.
Yeah. Or a
So,
GPT like 2 days.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. So there's a dude who just came into the GK server saying, hey, I need help with, what was it, Neil? A codec for, what's the device? Let's see if I can find the device. And he's like, I put it into AI and I couldn't get anything good out of it. And I was like, dude, how is that possible? And I think it might be either a prompting piece or just like not knowing what to ask. But it was fuck. What was the name of that device? It was pretty crazy though. It's like, oh, AI allows you to do anything.
Yeah. I wanted to point back at something you said, which is like you need a project.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's something that I've talked about every time I'm like working with somebody who's trying to learn to code, even like 10 years ago. It's like you can't just sit down and like learn to code. You got to have something that's going to like drive you through it. Um, and I think that's actually a really good reminder for the IoT thing. It's like, yeah, you could build a air particulate sensor or something like that, but what's the problem you're solving? And is that problem more easily solved with a HomeKit thing that you're probably using anyway? So you're not actually solving a problem, you're just recreating the wheel. Um, I think that's a tricky one to sort of think through. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do. I think maybe the thing is you just figure out the first problem to solve that everyone could use, and it might be something as easy as a pet tracker. Although I
mhm.
haven't found pet trackers. I guess it's just the way I live with my dogs are that useful because they're like I don't live on some giant property. But I'm looking at my dog right now. Like he's almost always within 10 feet of me.
Right.
But like finding
And
something for
we've got
everyone.
a we have like a cellular pet tracker for
Hmm.
our dog, and I think we actually put it on her like 2 times a month. So
Yeah.
we bought this thing with all the best intentions and we forget about it, or it's not charged or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It's got to be some problem that affects everyone. All right, here's this thing. A Brunata Zener Celsius C5 IUF. It's not an IUD. Just as well. Don't want to track those. If I put my glasses on, it's way easier to see.
So let's see.
Uh,
Heat meter. Okay, yeah. This is actually what Uplink is doing in Germany. Um, they I think evaluated the Zener device, but they're using a different one if I remember correctly.
okay. Yeah, this dude's
Um,
in the
but
decoder channel in GK.
okay.
Um, and he's got this crazy, let's see, this is this. I'll put in this problem here. I'm sure someone watching this will be like, "Oh yeah, I can fix that in 2 seconds. Get out of the way."
Hmm. I mean, I tell you who could is the Heliotics guys. They probably know their way around it.
Yeah, yeah. And this is, I mean, this is the stuff, Travis, that you should be fucking doing with hacks. Like, just get on and solve this shit in real time, and you'll crush. Because this will get
Hmm.
too nerdy for folks who are watching this thing who are like, I want to hear about crypto and making a ton of money. I'll tell you this. I looked at my outdoor hotspot the other day, and that thing is starting to process a ton of data. And I looked at it, I was like, dude, I think that this data, I think it's the DC it's or whatever is cruising through is like $250 a month. That thing costs $500. I was like, oh, I
Was
need
this
to
your
go.
mobile
Yeah, the mobile
at your
thing.
place? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I should go start talking to. There's a couple other places on the street, and I've had this thing in the back of my mind for a while. Like, I want Adams Ave in San Diego to be just like the best goddamn set of mobile deployments ever, and I just don't get around to it because I got a
Hmm.
million other things to do, and it's also like it doesn't pay the rent for me to do that because I just be helping other people do awesome stuff, which is fun, but you got to be careful being too helpful and not not profitable.
Hmm.
But it's at the point where it's like, yeah, fuck it. I could redeploy the stuff that's on my house that's not doing really anything because it's just serving me and Lee and help either put it in these people's businesses or just go in and do the Frank Monk thing. Be like, hey, I'll put mine in and split it with you, or you can put your own in for a total of $700 for two devices, like your choice, and just make it
Hmm.
so like the map lights up and whenever you're near, you're getting coverage.
Yeah. The other thing I've thought about is like I'll run it for 4 months, and then I'll hand it over to you, kind of a thing. So you take something
Oh
out of
yeah,
it, you give
yep,
them, like, there'd be another way to go.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was looking at maps on your street there where Paleo Treats is, and it would just be awesome to see like a zigzag of outdoor hotspots, just so you could walk the entire street and like stay like roam between each of them. Um, I think that would actually be a really big value because the phone does take a second to, sniff Wi-Fi, then go
Yep.
choose to connect and do the authentication. So if you were walking the street and you were just already connected, you'd basically, I think, just hop between all of those SSIDs, um, which would be
It would
great
be super
because then
cool if you
everyone
could
would just
go
be,
from
yeah.
the 15 to the 805 on Adams and have Helium coverage the whole way. And I think with, I don't know, like five outdoors, you could easily, like you could reliably do that. With three outdoors, you could probably unreliably do that.
Mhm.
So I don't know what that distance
Yeah.
is, maybe a little more. And then uh, a dude who I talked to in Helium back in the IoT days reached out to me the other day, and he had two things. He's like, "Hey, I got a bunch of CBRS radios. What should I do with them? I don't know." And the second thing was, he's like, "I was at Paleo Treats the other day, and I used your Wi-Fi, the Helium Wi-Fi." I was like, "Oh, fucking
Hmm.
rad!" Because I didn't
Nice.
know he'd been there. Maybe he's the one who's like streaming high def and cranking my my DC flow.
Well, no, I think I looked at yours and you're serving some couple hundred people. So um,
Yeah, I
it
don't know
definitely
like
wasn't
who
just the
these
one
couple
guy.
hundred
Yeah.
people. Oh no, well, I don't know who they are, but it makes more sense now because before it was only Helium folks, and now there's all the carrier offload, which is the whole point
Yep.
from the get go.
Yeah. So it's your customers, it's people like you got a post office next door or something, right?
Right
So
across the
could be
street,
any of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
No, that's where that the outdoor is aimed is right at the post office. But there's like a liquor store a couple blocks down that I think could do super well. There's a supermarket I don't know half a mile away that would do super well. So yeah. Oh, and to Travis's point, yeah, you
Yeah.
should know who they are. That's a good point. That's kind
I've
of
been really tempted to be a creeper and like hang out at the coffee shop and see if people are like what
yeah.
their phone's connected to or
Like, hey,
ask them. But
what's
yeah,
up?
I, yeah, that's like the weirdest thing to ask somebody, if you sort of think about it from their perspective. But,
Yeah, I had a thing the other day, actually yesterday. The AT&T sales team came in and they're like, "Hey, we'd like you to switch to AT&T." I'm like, "Clearly, you haven't looked at your customer base because I'm already on AT&T fiber." And they're like,
mhm.
"Well, what about your phone? You know, we can give you a pretty good phone plan." I'm like, "I don't think you can beat what I have." And they walked they walked out 5 minutes later, and I'd written "Hello Helium" and my stupid whatever affiliate code on a post-it note, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm going to switch over to this."
Amazing. Oh, we're totally cutting Artie's cutting that out and posting that on Twitter, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was funny. I should have a little like a little card. Let's see, Jad Al Habi, Class C LoRaWAN devices on Helium. Will those ever work? Oh, hang
They
on,
do.
Jad. Hang on. Look over my shoulder.
Oh, wait.
I'll see.
Show us. Yeah.
See that fucking green light? That's a Class C. You want me to make it blink? That's fucking Class C right there. I think. There you go. Let's see. I can turn it back off. Yeah, they totally work. They can be a pain in the ass though. If you're having problems with it, Jad, jump into the GK server and we'll help you out as much as we can. And if there's a specific thing, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of folks on there who can get that working for you. That was fun to give you
Yeah.
a little shit though.
They No, that was good. They do not work on Foundation console or the old legacy console.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so if devices are still on there, which I do not encourage, continue move them because eventually that thing's going to break and I'm not going to fix it. Um,
Make it break now
uh,
so that they all come over to Metside.
yeah, then they're just going to be mad, and then they'll be yelling at me instead of Hivemapper. So yeah, I like
Uh,
it the other way.
yeah.
But, um, yeah,
Best demo ever. Thank you, Travis. I was very pleased with that. I didn't set that up at all. That was super fun.
that was almost staged. That was too good.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Jad
yeah.
Al Halabi, that's his stage name. Yeah. Let's see. How does carrier offload work? B13 SR.
Oh,
I went to a driving school called
how does
BSR a long time. Okay. Okay. Walk me through it, Joey.
yeah? So it's like how is baby born? Uh,
I'll tell you, you put
where
up a
do I
Helium
start?
hotspot. People who are on the
Yeah.
Helium system can use your coverage, and then other carriers like whatever AT&T or someone else who've made a deal with Helium will say, "Hey, if our folks are near your hotspot and your hotspot is better, can we jump onto your hotspot?" And Helium says yes, and it's going to cost you this, and they do. I think that's it. Is there
Yep.
anything else?
Yeah.
There's probably more details.
Yeah, there's more details. Like basically, like it's to sort of take away some of the magic of it is the carrier needs to approve these things, and so what they do is they add a what we call a carrier bundle that says that phone uh, will treat Wi-Fi just as a cellular radio, and then when it is within range, it'll try to connect. When that connection tries, it pipes that connection attempt through what's called a AAA server. So that authentication, accounting, and authorization. I got the order of the A's wrong, but those are the three. Um, yep, carrier identity has to be put on the sub's phones. So in the case of like the United States, that's the 2 out of 3 carriers put those identities in there. Um, and then the other piece of it is on the hotspot side. The carrier doesn't necessarily want every hotspot that's out there. They want to target the areas that they want to augment their coverage. One carrier likes indoor coverage, the other likes outdoor coverage. The traffic split's mostly the same, doesn't really matter too much for your choice. Go deploy both. They tend to really like commercial areas. They don't like residential areas because they want to see high foot traffic and sort of the impacts there. Um, and what happens during that authentication is a configuration goes on the hotspot. It sets up the relevant connections for basically the carrier authentication flow. Um, that's probably too much detail. But, so there's a bunch of infrastructure that makes this magical thing work so that you as a customer of big carrier or Helium Mobile or whatever can walk by this thing and just automatically send your traffic through it.
B13 SR. Does that answer your question?
Probably too
Hopefully.
much. I probably made it worse. You did better.
That's it. I don't know. We'll see it. I think we did a good job. It was like a nice tag team. It's like the old
Yeah.
WWF.
Siegfried's thing was probably all that needed to be said. The
I got
carriers
in the
anything you
first
put
first
on the
couple
phone
shots,
stuff.
and then you came and suplexed it. I fucking like it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hopefully, my
Yeah.
cousin will let me put one in
So
his barbershop.
actually,
Yeah, let's talk through
this
this,
is a
Jay.
fantastic point. So we've been doing some analysis of the sites that are doing a lot of carrier offload. So we have this data set called forgot. Anyway, it's part of the protocol. We pay a bunch of money to this organization. It supports one of the HIPs that does the targeting of high traffic locations, and so it allows us to push these venues to the carrier. But we've started doing the analysis of where we see a lot of data traffic, and the places that are rising to the top are not necessarily the places that we initially said where we thought there'd be a lot of high traffic. So we used to say restaurants, coffee shops, bars, anywhere there's like sort of a lot of people, slow moving. Um, but the ones that have really risen to the top are the ones where people are just really bored. So
Huh.
laundromat, dentist office, like anywhere where there's like a waiting room or something, where else are
Hmm.
you going to just sit and just scroll or watch
Plug your
YouTube or
face into your
whatever,
phone.
right?
Yeah.
Like you got to check out. So barbershops probably a fantastic if they've got a little waiting area or if people are sort of on their phones, stuff like that.
Oh, the
Or
DMV
if
would
the neighboring
fucking
barbershop.
crush.
DMV would crush. You know what else we saw a lot was police stations. I don't know if people are just bored there, but
Huh.
there's a
I don't
couple of
usually
police
get bored at the
stations.
cop shop, but
Yeah. Um, so, not to say those other venues aren't worth deploying in because they are also really high performers, but the ones that like just really crushed it so far in our analysis has been some of those venues. So, um,
a
yeah,
strip
if you're on your
club?
phone at the strip club, I don't know
619. Yeah, what the fuck are you doing at the strip club, dog?
what are you doing on
Get
your
off your
phone at the strip
fucking
club?
phone.
Uh, anyway, it's been really interesting just tearing apart this stuff now that we're a couple months into it and starting to really understand the network in a different way. So a lot of this stuff's going to start to get published, but it's coming.
Dig it. Mitchell Doyle,
Uh,
we've got a great answer for you for this one. As a matter of fact,
yeah,
there is.
yeah. Well, it used to be 40 and 10, not 50 and 10. So it would have been 50 up front, but
Hmm.
within a week or two, depending on when basically this is just a chain var change, but that price is going to move to $11. So it'll be a $10 onboard and a $1 location assert. And the IoT working group uh, basically pushed that forward about 2 weeks ago, and that was just voted on by the community in the latest HRP and approved.
Badass. Simeon, is this Simeon on security or is this a different Simeon? I've never met people who spell that name the same way, so
He,
I'm guessing it's Simeon on
he,
security.
he's the same one. Yeah.
Okay, so this is why when people sit around, their phones just connect it. And I've yet to see a device treat the AP, which is the access point, as metered. What does that mean? Does that mean that it just ignores any kind of like, hey, slow down your data thing?
It must be what he means.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure, but I think so. Like the phone has a lot of like, give me low quality video when I'm on cellular, try and protect my data plan kind of thing. So it sounds like in this case, it ignores that and just gives you the high def.
Huh. Rad.
Yeah.
Super cool. Let's see. Hospital waiting room. Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yep. Well, and actually, we've seen calls from some of the carriers. So we've got these expansion zones on World,
Yep.
and the ones, they got a lot of highlight because we sort of launched it with Mexico, but the other carriers in the US have also highlighted areas where they want to see expansion, and a couple of them are hospitals because they have, super high demand. They don't have good penetration there. So if you
God,
want
it's
to
such a.
go to Alaska or Hawaii and deploy some hotspots, that's a good opportunity.
I would like to go to Alaska and Hawaii and deploy hotspots. Maybe I'll write a grant for that. Like, can I get a cruise to Alaska and Hawaii? I
Yeah.
will deploy hotspots. So, Jay, when you've had these police officers, approach you, please describe that to me. Excuse me, sir. Okay, you mind if I check your pockets for a hotspot? Our locker rooms have pretty shitty coverage.
That's yeah. Well, we've got the solution for them.
Yeah, we'll hook it up. Let's see. I think questions that I'm going to expect that are going to come from my liquor store and coffee shop folks where I want to put these things in. And the coffee shop, people wait around there forever. It's this fantastic place called Bica, B-I-C-A. If you're ever in San Diego, look up Normal Heights Bica. They do a super good job of the whole coffee shop experience. But I'm sure they'll ask me about security. So let's see if we can give them a little soundbite here. A, fairly secure. B, is there anything that they need to worry about, Joey?
We should pull Simeon in here. He's the master of this stuff. But basically, if they're already operating a guest network, whether it's a sign-in or open access SSID, there's absolutely nothing different about running Helium Mobile. Is a connection to the network. If anything, it's a little bit more secure because you're only allowing phones in, and you're not allowing people's laptops and all that, where they're going to go try and do torrents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The key piece is it's just a pass through. So it's all metered traffic, but it uses your direct pass through of your network. So if you were operating, yeah, Simeon's totally spot on. Like, stick it on a separate VLAN if you're worried about that traffic. Typically, it's all going to be channeled through anyway. But if you're afraid somebody's going to like see your devices on your network or something, which they I think shouldn't be able to anyway with the Helium mobile hotspot. But yeah, just put it on a VLAN of its own.
Okay. I think that might be a little bit too nerdy for them, but I can probably help them with that. Let's see. And then this dwell time thing. Okay. So actually, Simeon, we should have you on to talk about security. Let's see. We've seen Chevy cars, tablets, MacBooks all use AT&T offload. Oh, interesting.
I didn't think they were putting.
Do they have like LTE chips or whatever in them? Is that how they're doing it? Dude, look at these fucking nerds. Like, what the fuck does this mean? Nothing preventing you from setting up DNS syncholling or ID. Like, who's gonna fucking know what that is, dude? If I go to a goddamn coffee shop and I start talking about syncholling and IDS, IPS, fucking cooked.
This is one of the things that I want to start blowing out a lot more on the Helium docs is basically advanced configurations. So people could go set this stuff up, but if they want to get like real nerdy with it, choose your own adventure. Like, you can do all sorts of things with these network controllers. And so I think a lot of these notes would be really interesting, just paragraphs in there. It says, like, if you're worried about this, here's a couple of approaches you can take. The challenge is it's all vendor specific, and you're gonna have to do some Googling, but
you have to figure out like what their router is, and then how do they set up VLANs, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But man, if it's doing, and I don't think you're allowed to talk about price, but there's no restrictions on me doing it. Although I don't like it because I don't think getting into this solely for price is the best thing. Although for mobile, maybe it is. Like, maybe that's just the driver. Buying a Ubiquiti Dream Machine Pro and an AP will be more expensive than buying like a single little piece. But then you can do anything that a normal person wants to do in networking. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
So, oh, look at Jay. Join us on the Helium Discord for the mobile working group calls. You guys should, I swear to God, there's a grant for like just handling the media on these working group things and making it so it goes on YouTube.
Yep. That's probably needed.
Yeah. Let's see. Pie hole on my Helium mobile. Good.
The tail end of those working group calls is usually my favorite. It's when we ask Boris what people should be doing, and then try to keep Boris fed with some interesting tidbits.
Yeah, B13SR, totally. This is what I'm going to get over and over again if I start going to IPS sinkholes. God damn it, Simeon.
Yeah, I mean, like, we take a lot of strides with the hardware out of the box to make sure it's doing the right thing, because we don't want people getting stuck and having bad experiences. But to the extent that you can do more stuff on your network, you can go do that. So we've got whatever thousands of these things out there today. They're working. We will continue to push firmware updates. We do it every couple of months anyway. So yeah, that's the story. But yeah, just the Ubiquiti stuff, like the Flywheel deployment we were talking about at the top of the call. Like, he didn't go deploy Helium mobile hotspots. He went in there as a managed service provider, and he's like, I'm going to make your Wi-Fi awesome. you're also going to get carrier offload and do this other stuff with your network. And so that ended up being the really big piece for that venue, is to be like, oh yeah, our internet sucks, or we're not happy with it. If you can fix that up for us, then let's get you in here. So he spent probably 1,200-1,500 bucks up front with a nice controller, some couple access points, maybe less, who knows. I set this up in my workshop for 400-500 bucks
Yeah,
or something,
300 for the
basically.
UDMP. Let's say 250 for an access point. If you're getting a nicer one, you can probably do it cheaper. So you're 550
Yeah.
there, and then a hotspot. Well, you don't need a hotspot. You can just use their thing, and then the cabling. I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably-
well, you can go cheaper on the controllers now. They've got the like fiber extreme whatever thing. It's like
Oh, dude, I wish I could
$200.
fucking
So,
move my camera around because
yeah,
I'm looking at my
opinions
little
on it.
network now. I did the coolest fucking thing. I took out I've got AT&T fiber at the house, and they force you to have this. What's this thing?
There. Because the dream wall. Oh, it's
Oh, the
trying to
Dream Wall.
zoom
Yeah,
in on it.
yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That
Make
thing's
it
super
stop
fancy.
zooming.
So if you get AT&T fiber, they force you to use their stupid fucking giant modem, and there's all kinds of settings on it that basically don't allow you to do what a UDMP should be, the Unified Dream Machine Pro, or anything any router should do. And so in the last 8 months, it's become easy enough that the docs are out there that you can buy this fancy device from Canada. They ship it to you in 2 days. You shit can the AT&T modem thing, and you get, God, Simon will know what this is. It's like the fuck is it called? An ONT that plugs directly into the UDMP, and you plug your fiber directly into that, and you cut out the AT. It's like the nerdiest fucking thing possible. But then it allows you to have total control over your internet. So rad. Oh yeah, you totally know what it is. ONT.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Oh, you wrote the original
Uh,
guide. That's fucking rad, dude. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's one of the awesome things about, I guess I won't even say Helium, but just DePIN in general, is you get like the smartest people in the room sort of hacking at this stuff. It's cool.
Yeah. But
Um,
you can get a full
yeah,
Ubiquiti set for $300. Okay.
yeah. That's basically what I did in my workshop. So, and it supports Passpoint. I got it all up and running there.
Nice. Yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty rad. I like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Pass through. Is that what it's
Oh,
called? Is ONT
I'll do the
pass
one.
through? Good.
Well, so yeah, that's for the fiber, the ONT,
Yeah.
like getting through it. The note that I'll add, we were talking about Passpoint and doing all this Ubiquiti conversion stuff. For folks that want to go play around with that, you can self-serve and onboard that network yourself for Helium Mobile. And then when you're ready to sort of scale that up and go do, carrier offload and stuff, that's when you go hit up the Nova Labs team, and we'll like plug that stuff in for you. So there's kind of a two-step process, and we've talked about this before, but it's just I don't know, no good on the U7. Got
What's the
two of
U7?
them
Is this what
sitting
you're talking
over
about?
there. That's these guys. Yeah. Oh, heavy. It's just a blank box, but
Oh, is this the APs?
yeah.
Something else. Okay. All right. Oh, there's a bunch of like network nerds on here. It's like the funnest thing you can do that can cause you an enormous amount of stress when your internet goes down, but also makes you feel like a qualified nerd. Networking.
Mhm. Oh, shit. There's this other. So Starlink just did a thing where you can pay $10 a month for some like base allotment of bandwidth. I think it's like 5 gigs or something like that.
Okay.
But an awesome solution for backup internet, which these sort of heavier duty Ubiquiti things will let you have sort of two simultaneous connections.
Yep.
So if one gets buggy, it'll fail over to the other. Um, that's something that I've been meaning to chase. Go stick a Starlink antenna on my roof just for the
Yeah, for
very
$10 a
annoying.
month, that's actually pretty good because
Yeah.
I had my internet go down the other day, and I was fiddling with that giant badass 5G antenna I'd bought, and then it was too much of a pain in the ass, and I just went and fixed the actual internet.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, it's only to existing customers.
not new ones.
So I
Okay.
wonder if you have to go like sign up, and yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, maybe that's why I haven't found it yet.
Okay.
But we do
I'm
have an
feeling
enterprise thing through Helium. Maybe I
we
can
should get
harass them for
Simon
that.
and Travis on the next show. We should do a four-way show. We've been doing two ways for a long time. We got to open this thing up.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to come
don't
on,
need to hear me
you're
talk
welcome
about-
to. I know that you're maybe super, I don't know about Travis. I don't think he gives a shit, but Simon might be super private. Hard to say.
We could like put him behind an AI filter or something. Hide his video.
Yeah. You can make him Ghibli style or whatever the fucking latest craze is.
Yeah.
So, all right, killers. I think that that wraps it. It's 10 o'clock. I got to get on the road and avoid a goddamn gunfight. So I'll tell you more about that later. But I will see you guys later. Be good. And Joey, fucking A, we'll see you next week. Thanks, dog.
All right. Take it easy.
We're out of here.